What they also saw is that when they were scanning, there was no movement. We could see baby's heart beating, so we know there's a heartbeat, but she did not move, she did not react, she did not even go like this with a hand, nothing. Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to today's video. This video is really spontaneous. I just taken like 10 minutes out because Tom has taken the kids out to one of our local bike parks and scooter parks. So I'm here, as you can probably hear, in silence on my own, and I thought I would just do a pregnancy update with you. So a lot has gone on, so excuse me first of all if I sound out of breath. I'm just constantly out of breath at the moment. I've literally done nothing. I've just come upstairs from downstairs and I feel like I've run a marathon, but I've missed an upload, so there wasn't a video up on Friday because I was in hospital. But let me just check actually, because I wanted to do another pregnancy update. It's been, I'm pretty certain, a good few weeks since I have done an update, so let me just double check that. Yes, so sorry, I should have checked this before I come on. The last update that I had, I will link it below. It was a pregnancy update of week 27, so it was like incorporating week 26 and 27. I'd been in hospital then, so I was just giving you an update of what had been happening, how I was feeling, symptoms, things like that. So I need to do it because it's well overdue. I'm currently 35 weeks and 3 days when I'm filming this. I'm going to get this up on Tuesday, so I'll be like 35 weeks and 4 days. And so much has gone on. So since my last update, I had my growth scan at 28 weeks and my first consultant. So I am under consultant-led care. So first of all, just really quickly, if you're new to my channel, this is my third baby. My daughter is 9. My son is soon to be 6. He's 6 on Friday. And this is my third baby, a little girl. With my first pregnancy, I had fetal growth restrictions. So Darcy was actually 4 pound 15 ounces born at 37 weeks and 5 days. Just really basic story. I had reduced movement on growth scans. It looked as though the fluid was dropping low. She wasn't really growing. She was breech also, so I had an elective cesarean section with her. I didn't really have any option because they couldn't turn her because of everything else going on. My son, because of what happened with my pregnancy with Darcy, again, just for safety, I was under consultant-led care, so I had very regular growth scans, I think every 4 weeks. I had a few episodes of reduced movement, but nothing like I had with Darcy. He was plotting on the growth charts absolutely fine. He came out at 39 weeks and 4 days by cesarean section because I didn't go into labour with him on my own, and they didn't want to induce labour because of complications with Darcy and my previous cesarean section. So he again was born by elective cesarean section, as I said, at 39 weeks and 5 days, and he weighed 7 pounds 6, so a lovely healthy weight. He looked huge compared to what Darcy looked like when she was born. So with the third baby, I always knew that I was going to be having consultant appointments. So my midwife appointments have been just a standard that you get. I've actually got my notes here. So with second, third, fourth, like subsequent babies, is not your first baby, they routinely schedule you for 7 midwife appointments. I think with the first baby it's 10, but obviously that can go up depending on mum and baby needs, if there's like any cause for concern. So I knew that I had my very first consultant appointment at 28 weeks, and that was following a growth scan on the same day. So that was all scheduled for me. I had it through the post. So up until that point, I'd had a couple of episodes of reduced movement. I'd been sent into the antenatal assessment unit at the hospital, had CTG traces done. Looked lovely, so they said just monitor it, and we obviously all we can do is just monitor it and then bring you in if we're here 24 hours a day. Any time that you're concerned, you just ring us and you come in. So that kind of put my mind at ease, and then I went for my 28-week scan. Now this baby girl, her head has always been measuring on the smaller side, so I mean I'm talking like it started off on the 13th centile, then it jumped up to like the 22nd I think centile. Now her abdomen circumference, so that's like what they do, rather than measure like the abdomen, let's try and stand up and show you my bump here of baby, they measure as if they'd cut baby in half and they measure that way around. Now her abdomen was always measuring like crazy big for one of my babies compared to what Darcy and Ollie were measuring, from what I can remember anyway. So at the 28-week growth scan, I think she was measuring on like the 87th centile for her abdomen, and the femur length, so the top of the bone length, so from the knee to like the hip, that bone was always measuring long, like in the 90th centile. Now that typically has been pretty common for my babies because my husband is 6'3", I'm 5'6", so neither of us are particularly short, and Darcy and Ollie followed that similar pattern with their having long legs. So that was fine. They were always estimating her estimated gestational weight as being around at the 70th centile, so like really good weight for past experiences, considering Darcy was so small. So what we discussed at the 28-week appointment was how I want to deliver baby. So what I'd spoken about is, because this is more than likely going to be my last baby, I wanted to know if it was an option if I could have a VBAC. So it's basically a vaginal delivery VBAC, because I've had 2 previous cesarean sections. So what the consultant said is that she is happy, or she was happy for me to go down that route if I went into labour on my own. She wouldn't want to induce me. So what she said is that they would be happy for me to go to my due date, so 40 weeks, which would be the 2nd of October. If I hadn't have gone into labour on my own then they would have to schedule a cesarean section. So that was kind of like what we were thinking. She said they won't pencil anything in just yet, because at this point it was 28 weeks and I think 3 days or something. And that I would come back at week, what did she say? So I think from that point I was having scheduled growth scans for every 3 weeks. So I would come back at week 31 for a growth scan. Didn't need to see the doctor, it was just a growth scan as long as everything was okay. 32, 33, and then at week 34 I would have another growth scan, and I would have a doctor's or consultant appointment after, and that is where I would give them my final decision on what I wanted to do in terms of delivery, and then they would get the appointments booked in advance for like the C-section if I hadn't gone into labour beforehand, and schedule another growth scan for week 37. So I went for my 31-week scan. Now that was slightly delayed because of the hospitals are really overwhelmed with obviously everything going on at the moment. When I left at week 28, I didn't come away with my appointment. I was told by the reception that they would send it in the post. So I left it a couple of weeks. Bear in mind there was only like a 3-week gap. So I left it for like 10 days, I think, coming up to 2 weeks. And I said to my husband, Tom, I still haven't had a letter in the post from the hospital. So I was getting a little bit anxious. So I tried to ring the antenatal unit. I struggled for a couple of days. It was just ringing and engaged. Then I spoke to somebody, and this was on a Friday, and I said, look, my 31 week is due on Tuesday, so like in 4 days time. And she said, yeah, I can see that here, leave it with me, we'll get you an appointment and we'll ring you back. We won't be able to send it in the post because obviously it's not going to get to you in time. So I said, that's fine. Obviously just trusted that they would ring me. Lo and behold, they didn't ring me. So I went all weekend, tried all day the Monday, all day the Tuesday, which was the day I was due to go in. Couldn't get hold of them. Tried all the rest of that week until the Friday. Even phoned she wasn't my midwife, it was a community midwife who was, let me say, less than helpful. I've since spoken to somebody about that, and they've like really apologised, but it kind of made me feel like I was nagging them, and I was like, it's quite important that I obviously keep an eye on my baby's growth. So it ended up in me having to raise a complaint. So now I'm in week 32, so I'm like a week overdue of my growth, which I was then worried would like knock on the other ones that I had scheduled in. So they got me in for a Saturday, so I was exactly 32 weeks because my weeks change over on a Saturday. So they'd actually got a sonographer up from way down south in the country because they were so short. So she came, she scanned me, and I'm just going to pull my scan because I've got all the results in here. So at my last scan at 32 weeks, which was meant to be my 31 week, but 32 weeks. So her head circumference had gone to the 22nd centile. Her abdominal circumference had jumped to the 95th centile, and her femur length was on the 91st centile. So that was about the same as before, but the abdominal one had gone up from the one before, from the 87th. So it's still pretty high. It jumped a couple of like centiles up. So myself and my husband were joking that she's gonna have like a big, I'm obviously doing really well at feeding her because she's got a big chunky tummy. So we were like, went away feeling like really positive, and we knew that in 2 weeks time, because of this one being delayed, we were going to be going back for another growth and our consultant. So yeah, that was all fine. And then the following Friday I had a little bit of a bleed, nothing heavy, gushing, anything, so I decided to keep an eye on it. I didn't have anything else then over the weekend, and then I had it again on the Monday. So the following day I was due for my consultant and my growth, so my 34 week. So the day before I really wasn't happy, and I'd noticed that her movements had really slowed down. I mean, to the point of it would go hours, sometimes like all day pretty much, and I wouldn't feel her. And I'd then come and lay down, I'd kind of like poke my belly, see if I could like prompt a reaction out of her. I'd have Tom trying to sing or talk to my belly, and it was just really making me anxious because I knew I'd gone through this with Darcy and it just wasn't normal for her. So I went to the hospital, they did a trace, they did all the other like observations that they do, and everything was fine. And what they said was, obviously you've got your growth scan tomorrow and the doctor, so we will take it from there basically. So I went away after being in the hospital for a couple of hours, and the following day we went to my appointment. It was really early, 8 AM in the morning. So we got there, we went straight in to be scanned. Lady was lovely. Now on the scan, her head circumference has jumped up a little bit to the 41st, but her abdominal has dropped 30 centiles. So in 2 weeks, she's completely dropped 30 centiles, which was alarming for me, but they've said it's still classed as in the normal range, and there wasn't any need to like do anything immediately that day. But what they also saw is that when they were scanning, there was no movement. We could see baby's heart beating, so we know there's a heartbeat, but she did not move, she did not react, she did not even go like this with a hand, nothing. The whole time I was having a scan, and the sonographer said, it's very unusual, this isn't what we would usually see on a scan at this point. Babies are very reactive. So she said, go and sit in the waiting room. Obviously I'm going to pass all this on to the consultant, they'll call you in and talk to you about the next steps. But she said essentially you're going to need to go back over to the ward, you need another trace done. So myself and Tom went back into the waiting room. We were then called in by the consultant who had the scan report there, and she said, look, I don't want to alarm you. She said, although we're talking it's still in the normal range, given that baby has dropped, like you've reported reduced movements, and it's also been picked up on the scan that there's basically no movements, I need you to go and have a trace done, and we need to keep a very close eye on the abdominal circumference. So she said, although they'll still continue to measure the head and the leg, that is down to genetics essentially, how that's going to grow, but the abdominal really tells them if they're getting everything that they need from the placenta at this stage in pregnancy. And she said early signs indicate that potentially she is not, and this is exactly what happened with Darcy. Very, I mean, it's almost textbook exactly what happened with her. So she said, I'm gonna bring forward your growth scans to every 2 weeks instead of every 3. So I went over to the ward, had my trace put on. They were happy with the heart rate, although there was barely any movements, but the heart rate seemed really reassuring that baby was happy in there. but they didn't want to make a decision because obviously at that point I was still only 34 weeks. This was last week this all happened, and that I had to go up to the hospital every single day for a trace. Now obviously, as I mentioned, I've got 2 other children, so it's very difficult. I'm currently on my summer break from work. I'm not going to go back after the summer holidays, so I have the luxury of being at home, but I don't have anyone to have my children because obviously they're not allowed in the hospital. So it's meant that Tom has lost hours and hours and hours from work. He's self-employed, so it's been very, very stressful. As it stands at the moment, we don't know how she's growing. We will know more at next Tuesday, so I'm planning on doing another update then. Potentially she will need to be delivered early. Now what they have said is there is absolutely very, very slim chance that she is going to come vaginally, that I'm going to have another C-section, so that's fine. I mean, at the end of the day, as long as she's delivered safely, that is the most important thing. But yeah, we don't know if she's going to be born early at this point. So as I said, I'm 35 weeks. My scan is next Tuesday, so I've got a week to wait. What I have agreed with the hospital is, because her movements are still reduced, I mean even today I've barely felt anything at all, what I've said is I'm going up to the hospital every day to have a trace done, and I'm being sent home every day, which is like fine. Obviously I don't want to be in hospital, but they don't want to bring her forward until they do the next scan in terms of delivering her. So what I've agreed is to go up every 3 days for a trace instead of every day. Obviously I have the option to go up every day if I am concerned, but it's just taken the pressure off a little bit, especially with my other 2 children. I mean, they've been so brilliant, bless them, considering it's their summer holidays. We took them to the beach yesterday because we've completely had to change all of our plans. We were going to do like a couple of nights, sorry, staycation that we have just decided not to do because it's just not ideal with everything going on with baby girl. We were due to start renovating the bathroom to get that done before baby comes, but I'm thinking she's probably going to be here earlier than we expected. I'm sat in the middle. Actually, it doesn't look like it on this camera. It's how misleading these videos are. So behind me is completely done, but to this side of me, I'm looking just at open close because I'm waiting for my sliding doors to go on the wardrobe, and we have a new carpet coming. So hopefully at some point this week that will be done, and then we can get her little crib set up. But yeah, we're just trying to really make it to like 37 weeks. They haven't given me steroid injections this time. I did have steroid injections with Darcy at week 28 because they picked up her growth a lot sooner, but obviously this baby was showing signs that she was growing fine until obviously last week. So they've said that I'm kind of past the point of steroid injections now. So if she's going to be delivered early, it's likely to be week 36 into week 37. So hopefully, fingers crossed, she should be okay and she shouldn't need a NICU stay, but obviously it's just out of my hands now. So it's been a very, very worrying time. Darcy and Ollie go back to school next week as well, so I'm obviously just trying to get them prepared for that and just talk to them. So I've just been including them, obviously trying not to show them that I'm like a little bit anxious, just saying that we need to just make sure that baby sister's okay. We're just keeping a bit of an extra check on her, but they have been brilliant. But yeah, I wanted to just sit down. I wanted to upload this on Friday, but I was in hospital, and whenever I go I'm always there for like a minimum of 3 hours, and it just got too late on Friday, and I thought it's just too much to try and rush and get it ready. So I'm planning on obviously uploading this on the Tuesday, but what it might mean is that on my channel, rather than me uploading on a Tuesday and a Friday every week, I just do a Tuesday or a Friday. So until baby girl is here and I'm settled, it might just mean that my uploads go from 2 videos a week to 1 videos a week, but so I'm sure you guys understand. But I just didn't want to go completely MIA, because like my last video I'm like, yay, preparing for baby girl, yeah, like, and it all looks like amazing, like whoa, and in reality I'm like completely like it's just taken a bit of a turn that I wasn't expecting. So yeah, I'm in my head now, I'm mentally preparing for a cesarean section, so just getting what I need for my recovery afterwards, because I wasn't really prepared much after Ollie and I really struggled. So I just want to have like a supportive like things for my tummy, just to help ease, because obviously it's not enjoyable after that sort of surgery when you need to sneeze, cough, like it literally feels like your insides are gonna fall out. But yeah, I think everything for baby girl is ready to go. Just when everything's done in the bedroom, we can get it all like set up. And I'm planning on, I've packed her hospital bag. I'm in the middle actually of packing mine. I'm looking at it all like right in front of me here. So I am gonna sit down and film that. I just want to wash like my nightshirt and things before I put it in my suitcase. So once I've done that in the next couple of days, I will sit down and just film what's in my hospital bag and baby girl's hospital bag. And I'm probably going to pack something for Tom as well, because I didn't bother to do it with him, because here in the UK, if you're not watching, obviously I know a lot of my subscribers are from the UK, but if you're not from the UK, typically partners don't stay overnight with you. Usually visiting hours end at about 8 PM or 9 PM, and I don't actually know what it is in our hospital, I need to check, but in some of them they were only allowed to stay for 2 hours and then they had to wait until you're ready. That's happened to another lady that I follow on Instagram, so I'm really hoping that's not the case in my hospital. But with Ollie, Tom, I don't know if he was meant to or not, or whether they just let it go, because I had like an enhanced recovery following my C-section with Ollie, so Tom just managed to stay with me, but he's probably not going to be able to with everything going on. But I obviously just want to make sure that I've got like snacks and things for him. I probably won't be able to take that much because I'll be nil by mouth until after my surgery, and then I'll probably feel pretty rubbish after. But yeah, I just want to have a few bits on hand, some drinks and things like that for afterwards. So yeah, I'm planning on filming that, and I'll try and get that up for Friday. But yeah, just wanted to sit down, film an update. So yeah, keep your fingers crossed for next week. I'll of course do another update for you when I know a little bit more, but at the moment we looking like baby girl might have to come a little bit earlier than we planned. But as long as she's safe, I mean, if it means she's going to thrive more being earthside, then that's what we need to do. But yeah, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below actually if you've experienced something similar to this. It's not all new to me, because I did go through something very similar to this with Darcy, but this has happened sort of like later on. So what they're saying is yeah, it might just be that the placenta now at this stage in pregnancy is just starting to show signs that it's not as healthy as it needs to be to give baby girl all the nutrients and goodness that she needs. But yeah, let me know if you have experienced anything like this, because it's been like 9 years, 10 years almost since I went through this with Darcy. And if you're not already, if this is the first time you've come across my channel, I hope you'll consider subscribing. There's lots of content on my channel. I'm planning on obviously bringing you along on this journey with me of our third baby, and obviously welcoming her into our family. But yeah, without further ado, I'll leave it there, and I will speak to you hopefully on Friday. I'll try and get that video up, but if not, it will be next week. Bye everyone.
Someone to save me, no, and don't come running